The 6 Foot Nothing Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 6 Foot Nothing Podcast. I'm Menu and Heart. There's Monroe Martin, Derek Gaines, Chloe Hilliard, David Temple, and Amina Imani.
Okay.
Yeah. That's Menu, ladies and gentlemen. I be getting a lot of comments like, "Who's the guy in the red? He don't talk that much."
He's a fucking mute. Nah, fuck with you.
No.
That's the Ninja Man.
Genuine, do you feel like we don't let you talk, or is it that you don't have anything to say?
No, it's not that. I mean, I sometimes I have something to say, but it's like,
No, because then we need to be mindful to make sure that we give you the.
No, it's like double dutch. I jump in when I like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. Now like,
That's
okay,
right.
yeah.
That's what ninjas do. Ninjas don't strike all the time. They wait for the opportunity. We're not ninjas. We're not ninjas. We straight busting. We like, I don't have nothing to say, but
And another thing.
Yup. We don't get we spraying the club up. Man, you a sniper.
That's a good show. I don't have nothing to say.
Like this this pretty good. I'll watch this.
Yeah, just a guy just talking.
Wait, so
Yeah,
Derek, you're back. You're back in Brooklyn. How'd it feel?
It was good. It was really good. I am
back in Brooklyn,
in my space.
fresh off the king of Staten Island. Give it up for
Oh,
that
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Yo, I do want to say, I told Derek this in person, and it's fine if y'all feel like I'm dick eating, it is, whatever, but Derek just had one of those scene-stealing scenes, like one of those, like when Dave Chappelle was in The Nutty Professor, and you was like, oh, that's my part right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like when Kev was in 40-Year-Old Virgin, you like, oh, that's my part right there. You know what I mean?
That's what I said to him, yeah.
Right. Like, it was one of those scenes.
Thank you, fellas.
Yeah.
Well,
Love y'all. It's all love.
I don't think it's dick riding. I don't think you have to preference stuff with.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
No, that's a friend. You don't.
I ain't no homo, man.
You know, like in the theater, I told him I didn't want to seem disrespectful, but we went to see it because he brought me with him, and I was like, "Yo, that was the best part of the movie." And I didn't want to be like the movie is bad or whatever, but I'm like, to me that part. Like even if I didn't know you, I'd be like, "Yo, that's the funniest part. That was the payoff. That's probably a dope ass cameo because we got to see the nigga moonwalk or whatever the fuck you was doing, pop lock. We got to see you be yourself.
Yeah.
Which was dope. Yeah.
Ladies, y'all can chime in on this shit. Yeah, ladies, come on, bring it on.
They don't give a shit because you
watch
annoyed them.
I didn't watch it yet.
I haven't seen it.
Amina, you ain't watched?
Derek, you know you got my heart, but I haven't watched it yet. I actually this weekend was my mom's and my sister's birthday are back to back, and even today are my god twins' birthday. So I just been involved with family. And then yesterday,
family, got you.
I don't know. Yesterday was a rough day, so I kind of had to just do things that I could.
I've been having a rough time. The movie. She used this time to start reading books. She's like, oh, Derek's in the movie. Let me pick up a good novel.
She even ran out of stuff for yesterday that she was doing. Like yesterday was just
so my
crazy.
family told me to drive, so I wound up driving the car, and so I didn't even know what was going on. Movie nigga.
No, I'm gonna make time.
It's all good, bro. I'm glad. Thank you.
I'm proud of you, though. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Watch that shit on Fire Stick. You ain't putting no money in his pocket.
Well, isn't it on a lot of TV? It's on a lot of platforms, right?
No, it's on demand.
Yeah.
You gotta pay $23 for it.
You gotta pay
no problem. That's nothing.
Oh, you got that sauce now.
Man got quarantine money.
Quarantine money.
How do you feel after recording the special? Because Dave mentioned in the group, I think it was pretty dope that you got to use, you had your mom direct this, John.
Oh yeah.
It was in front of
you gotta set it up more. You gotta set it up more because the people who are watching don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so Derek Gaines the king of Staten Island, recently just
No,
shot
he's the king. I'm just saying.
he shot a special back home in Lindenwold in his garage, and he had his mom direct it, and he had an audience pack with his aunts and all the women who like support him, and I think some of them who wanted to jump your bones.
What?
Aunts?
Aunts?
No, not aunts, but like regular girls.
Like,
I don't know, Derek. You seem
Uh-oh.
like you might have a few aunts that might kiss you in the mouth every now and again.
Yeah.
Just inappropriate.
No.
He's
Why
a
is
handsome boy.
Never.
Come
I
here.
never had a
Nell
That's
ain't
right.
never try to give you no tongue.
no.
Wait.
Ah, Mungo, stop. Stop. Stop.
Nell never tried to give me no time. Shut up.
Oh my
That's so
goodness.
Yo, no, man.
That's so
Nah, bro.
fucking stupid.
Stop. Stop.
That is hilarious, but no. Nell never tried to do that. No.
Go ahead,
God
Chloe. You was about to
damn.
ask a question.
No, I just
My
wanted to know
room's
how many people did you have there? Like, what were the social
I had,
distancing parameters?
I had like total of 12 because you had to practice social distancing. Everybody had their mask on. So my god family came. So my god family, my two aunts was there. People from the neighborhood came. The guy that did the lights, the guy that did the sound was there, and it was a couple other neighbors was there too. And so it made it look like and it's a small driveway, so it kind of looked packed, but it wasn't.
No.
So, and then we put a mic and a speaker outside the garage so the whole neighborhood could really hear me joking. And then we mic'd the driveway. So them cackling and carrying on, black mother laughs are huge, but you hear birds chirping and fucking lawnmowers going off. So it might be a good effect. And I'm
That's also good. That's a
with
good.
it because I know Menuhin can spin and he can do all that phenom shit to it, and we can make it like a cool
No.
project.
That's
Are
a
you-
good thing to
sorry.
also to emote in the neighborhood like that, to mic up crowd laughter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make someone that's sitting in the house.
Yeah.
Who the fuck
I
is
did
that
a
outside
lot of,
laughing?
Did you get a lot of
Yeah.
B-roll to like package
Yeah.
it? So have some stuff at the beginning, have some stuff at the end.
I got a beginning and an ending. That's all I got right now. Got a dope
Did you
beginning.
did you film like just the building of it, like your mom setting the cameras up and then talking to you like
Yeah.
behind the
And then I
scenes
did
footage?
just like closing. You'll see. It's
Yeah.
it's some fly shit. Yeah, you'll like it.
What's the name of it? What are you calling it?
Why was I at home anyway? A special
Why was
for
I,
Derek Gaines.
why was I at home?
Yeah, why was I
Anyway.
at home anyway? And then it was because of COVID and it's because of police brutality. So I did a lot of fucking police jokes, a lot of COVID jokes that I had written that during those 10 weeks and just try to perfect it in the mirror because I didn't really have a stage. That's why I kept doing them little lives and running running a little 43-minute, 53-minute just to see what was actually funny. So when I ran in front of my mom, my aunt, I kind of knew, and then I just kept going week to week and see what people was laughing at on Instagram Live. And so I put those jokes together, filtered it out, wrote a little special.
Good. What
Dope.
you releasing it on? What do you think you're going to release it on? You think you're going to put it on the Patreon? You think you're going to throw it up there for free?
I don't even know
How do you think you're going to do it?
What's the smartest one, Dave?
You can put it on Prime.
I don't know how to do shit. I put it on. If I can put it on iTunes, I will.
Wait, Chloe, how does he put it on Prime?
iTunes and Prime. You need to find a distributor, like a central distributor. You'll pay for that, and then they will give you the IBSN number. Just to make it official, and then they will put it out to all of those platforms.
Okay.
See, people who are listening and watching, she just gave y'all a way to do your own shit, so you're not waiting for people. So that's good. I didn't know that. That was smart. I didn't know that.
I'm the queen of doing my own shit. Like I did my.
That's right, Chloe. That's right.
Do it yourself.
Chloe across America, ladies and gentlemen. Chloe across America.
Nightly talk. Said you ain't waiting for nobody to book you for late night. You're gonna start your own late night, which
I watched I watched the first episode. I like it. I like what you're doing. How do you feel? How do you feel it's going, Chloe?
I think it's going really well. It's growing. Initially, I was going to have it stream on my personal IG page, which has a good number of people. But for whatever reason, tech reasons, I couldn't get into my account to stream on the IGTV. So that kind of forced me to really push the independent show page. And that actually ended up being better because the people who want to see it are really following the page and seeking it out. And it's like a real, when you always hear that analogy, it's like, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a strong 100 people, that's better than 100,000 people. And so that's what I'm finding is like the people who found my page or followed that page are really doing a lot to like promote it and share it and put it out there. So that's helping it grow. And so every night, well, not every night, Monday through Thursday, it's on my Twitter, IG, Facebook, and YouTube channel. And each platform averages about like 200 views live, and then it recaps. People can watch it over. So it's growing. It's helping. It's good. I like it. I enjoy it.
Dope. I'm proud of y'all.
Dope. Everybody.
And to give you, I'd love to dig into this story that Chloe sent now to kind of give you guys a taste of what Chloe Across America is all about. Because Chloe dropped a gem on us today where I'm just like, what is your internet set on? Like, I know my internet is fucked up, but god damn. Like, so.
What do you mean? Go ahead.
All right, so Chloe sent us a topic, a thread that we were all supposed to read before we came onto the podcast so that we knew about it, all right? And the thread was about a 19-year-old girl who was sexually assaulted, and her body was found. And then this other tweeter, she began to run down 26 motherfucking reasons on why
the whole alphabet.
You like, I can only, like, to sum it up, I guess it's just like not supporting Black women. You know what I mean? So let's take it from here, Chloe. Tell us a bit about, you know, the message, because I don't remember this girl's name. It looked hard to pronounce.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's always interesting when you follow people you don't know, but I think her handle is Gothic Hadassah.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's funny.
Yeah, but it's hard. So it's Gothic. I see it's Gothic. HADASSAH.
How do y'all find that? And y'all can't find I'm Dave Temple. It's that I'm Dave Temple.
There you go, boy. You better go, boy.
So basically, she starts the tweet by saying, "Let's talk about the many ways men are complicit in sexual abuse." And then she uses the alphabet and gives 26 points. And point A is, you remain friends with known rapists, people who have been exposed, or you yourself have been as seen as being predatory. B, your first instinct is to discredit whenever you see a sexual abuse story. And so for me, it was like, I've been having these conversations with people and talking about, this is when women say we don't feel protected and uplifted. This is what we mean, because social media has definitely exposed us to a lot of trolls and people who always want to get into these stories about sexual assault or harassment and be like, well, what did she do? I need all the facts. I don't believe them. Bitches be lying. You know, they want money. And we saw that happen with Bill Cosby. It was like, I don't believe, people that we know and respect were like, I don't believe those women. All those women couldn't have been raped. And so even last week, the Russell Simmons documentary came out, and you have all these women with professional backgrounds who worked in the industry saying, like, he preyed on me. And people are like, well, next day, Russell Simmons is on a Breakfast Club defending himself, even though he never watched the documentary, so he doesn't know what he's defending himself for, but he already had the script being like, I'm sorry if people felt like I was abusive, you know? So I think we a lot of times joke about it, whether it's a place of, for women, I think it's a place of like discomfort, being like, well, you know, y'all my homies, and I really don't feel like, you know, bringing the mood down and being like, this is not cool. So you just sit here and be like, all right. And the other part is like, when we do speak up, as me, a woman, when I do speak up for women, it is like, I have to educate why I'm speaking up before y'all just say for face value, oh, I understand where you're coming from. So I feel like it's now a time where we really need to have this conversation, because there's so many other things going on as far as like Black Lives Matter, Black trans lives matter, you know, trying to defund the police. And so a part of that conversation needs to be, it's time for us to, you know, unify and come together and uplift both Black men and Black women, but Black women especially, because we're the ones who are at the front lines. We're the ones who put money on your bail, who's getting you out of jail, who's calling your mama, who's cooking you a meal, who's rubbing your back, who's telling you you a king. And we don't feel like we're getting that in return. And so this also more so about sexual abuse is like, we just don't support women and believe women.
Yeah. Now, that's a lot. It's a lot to process. And I think about it only, I want to try to do a case study here, not to go against anything that you're saying, but I just want to make it a bit more personal. You know what I mean? And if you're willing to share, I don't want to go into details, but you and I talked about this before, where something happened to you once in our business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking you, like, how come, like, out of the group, why was this not something that we didn't get a chance to handle that or help you with that? You know what I'm saying? And do you remember what your reasons were for not getting us involved?
No, if you remember, you can tell me.
I don't. I just remember being bothered that it did happen to you, and that the time frame had went on where there was nothing to be done. And I don't think at the time you wanted anything to be done when you had actually confided in us that it had happened.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I am curious on that if there is a...
Yeah, I mean, I think, so the situation was I did a show. I was booked by a comic / producer of the show, and he basically was intoxicated. I'm not making an excuse, but he was intoxicated. And after the show, he pretty much like hemmed me up in a hallway and like forced himself on me. And like we were fully dressed in the hallway, but you know, he was like grabbing me, pushing me, all of that stuff. And I had to try to get him off of me, and kiss me and everything, like all in my face. And so I remember after that happened, the first person I called was Monroe. Mm-hmm. And Monroe, he heard me, he listened to me. He was in a completely different borough, so it wasn't like he could meet me. He wasn't in the city, because I remember you was like, I took off. I remember you saying like, I'm home, I'm playing video games or something like that. This is when you still live with, I don't know where you were, but this is before you moved in with me. Yeah. And I didn't even know Monroe that well, but I just felt I needed to tell a man in comedy about what happened to me, and I just called Monroe. And I think the reason why I didn't say anything was because I was still pretty new in comedy. I had been doing it maybe like 2.5 years, 3 years. Like this is before Last Comic Standing. Yeah. And I just knew from experience that when you're a new female comic, people are less likely to support you and believe you, because they think that it has an ulterior motive of like, oh, she's trying to get on, or she's trying to promote herself, or she's trying to take down a man. And also it's like, well, we know this guy. It's like, well, we've known this guy for, you know, X amount of years. This chick is new. Like, we're not gonna believe her. And so that's like the sentiment. Is like a lot of times women carry shit because it's like, I gotta do so much to prove to you that I was a victim in a situation, and you just gonna trust this dude because he's a homie. And the thing is, like, a lot of times men, each one of you men on here know that you have men or homies that are predators. Yeah. And the other part of the responsibility is y'all need to talk to them or stop fucking with them and tell them why you're not fucking with them, instead of being like, oh, I'm not in it, that's just him. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I listened to you, and I'm glad I don't talk to the person, and I'm glad I wasn't one of those people that didn't believe you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I never looked at it as a situation. I felt like if you were telling me, then there was no need for me to be like, nah, that didn't happen. Like, I'm like, you're telling me because it happened. Yeah. You know what I mean? It wasn't, so I haven't talked to the dude since then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. For any of the guys that read this thread today, like, real rap, out of 26, how many of them would you say apply to you? So let's say, like, would anybody in here say like less than anybody say like less than 5 apply to them, 5 or less?
I didn't get through the whole thread because I was back and forth in it.
Okay.
I felt like the first half I could relate, but it didn't apply just because I didn't like. I don't know. Like, it's. Like, I feel like even though I can get angry at women and stuff like that, I never victim blame, just because I have sisters and I know guys and I know how we are. I know how I am sometimes when it comes to like when you want sex and how aggressive you can be, or like imagine in your mind, like you may not act on it, but in your mind, you know how aggressive or pushy you could be. And I've always felt like, I never played that game. It was like, nah, I don't believe that bitch, and blah, blah, blah. So, and that's how far I got, was that like, I felt in that part where I was like, well, I'm not a part of that, but I can identify.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. The first one fucked me up.
Yeah, really? I still got it open.
Remain friends with a known rapist. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, are we talking like tried and convicted, and like how close? I'm
gonna say this though. In comedy though, we know the people. We know the people who like have been accused and have done things. We've seen their behavior, and we've all just been like, we all have. I'm not going to drop no names or anything like that.
Right, but that's what I'm. So I'm
that
just
very
I'm just
first one. We're like, yeah.
I'm trying to, I want to examine some of these things, and I do want to find, where is the line so that I know, we're on the ropes now, fellas. We're like white people was a week ago. I'm one of the good ones now. But I do want to find out though, like, because like if you like, what level of interaction are we talking? Like, because I have friends that I know. I can think of some stories, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's what that was. But that's also somebody I haven't talked to in years. But like, if I was to run into them in my old neighborhood from muscle memory, I wouldn't even think before. I'd be like, yo, what up, man? Pop, you know what I mean? And there's like, that's a moment where it looks like, oh, this dude is cool with a rapist. Yeah. And it's like, shit, I've known him longer than I knew he was a rapist, and I kind of forgot when I first saw him. And you ever do that? You ever been out, see somebody that you don't really fuck with, but you so happy? Yeah. Because you in another city, like, oh shit, I forgot I don't even fuck with you.
Yeah, for you.
You're like, oh yeah, that nigga cut heads off. Shit, I forgot that nigga was cutting heads off and stealing coochie.
But now, so let me ask y'all this: what is the hesitation to stop associating with someone who you know is a predator? Like, because I feel like it's more of an issue of like masculinity, where it's like, well, I'm gonna stick with a man just off a GP because these bitches be lying. And so what is the backlash that you think you will receive if you publicly say, I don't fuck with this person because I don't like how he handles himself with women?
Right. Okay. So as a public statement, I don't know. I don't even know if I didn't realize there was a need to make like a public statement.
No, not public. I don't mean not public, but I'm saying like if somebody was like, are you cool with so-and-so? You'd be like, nah, I don't really fuck with them like that.
Yeah, I think no, if anything, I don't think there's a hesitation to cut a person off. I think there's almost like a shit, you did a fucked up thing and it's hard now for that thing to undo everything else. It's almost like, I don't know if this is a proper analogy, but to compare like if you've been friends with a couple and then they break up and you know what one did dirty to the other, which is your friend, but then you run into him and you're like, oh, hey, what's up? Like, shit, yeah, I know that's a fucked up thing that you did to my friend. Shit, we had some good times. Like, I actually just watched like 2 episodes of that show. Has anyone seen The Morning Show? It's on Apple TV Plus.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
I've heard of it.
First 2 episodes.
Steve Carell, yeah.
And it's like Steve Carell playing like the Matt Lauer story, and they really focus on the coworker and her aspect of, God damn it, this was 15 years of friendship and a relationship, and I have to denounce you and throw all of that away. And she was mad at him for that because it's like, you fucked up our friendship because you went and did something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like there should be a way to handle it. And the way to handle it is, if that's really your homie and you really going to support that person, then you got to support them in a way of healing them. Not healing them, but in a way of making sure that they see their actions are wrong and that they have to do better in order to remain friends with you. Because you just can't be like, yo, you out here fucking putting yourself on women and fucking making them uncomfortable, but you just don't do that around me. Like, no, you got to be like, yo, that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. And until you improve that behavior, I can't fuck with you. It don't have to be this. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be this whole thing that you do in public, because I think the public part of it is just so you can get everybody to be like, hey, look at me. But if that's your homie, like if you or Derek or anybody ever did some shit like that, I would have to tell you like, yo, you fucked up. It's fucked up. I'm your friend because I'm your friend, but you have to know that that was wrong and you got to change that shit, or you will lose my friendship and I can't fuck with you no more. But you have to hold that mirror up. You can't just sweep that shit under the rug and be like, you was fucked up, you was drunk, but you'll bounce back. It was cool. It's no biggie. You can't do that. You know what I mean?
That's right. Hold that mirror up.
You have to. I feel like because when you sweep it under the rug, what you're doing is you're giving them a safe place to hide. So you know what I mean? And not to like, I don't know Louis that well, but I felt like Louis C.K. did that as soon as the accusations and all them shits was thrown at. As soon as all that information came out, he came back to comedy because he knew that was a place he could hide instead of people going, yo, nah, like, I'm still your boy, but that was fucked up. Why you pulling your dick out on bitches? Why you doing this? Why you doing that? But there were so many people who were like, I'm on tour with him and I'm doing this. And it's like, but are you talking to him?
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, because we treat it like, because it's funny, because when anybody does something that you don't agree with or you think is fucked up, we switch into work mode. It's like, well, it's just my job. I'm just doing my job, you know, and they shouldn't have to not do their job. It's because it's like the way you would treat somebody if you worked in an office. Like, you don't fuck with them, but you still gotta say hello and do business. And so then we turn into like super professional mode. Like, well, I'm just trying to like get my check. And it's just like,
no.
I don't know about all that.
If you don't fuck with them like that, if that's a person you don't fuck with, distance yourself, get away from that immediately. Because I do believe the people you hang out with influence other shit. You know what I mean?
I guess where I felt guilty of it is I know I have friends in the neighborhood that if they ran up on me as I was walking out of a corner store or a deli, I would stop and hold court with them for a few minutes and keep it pushing. These aren't exactly the people that I would ever have to worry about coming to a show or, you know, hanging out in the green room. And, you know, I did. That's what I said. The first one caught me off guard. You know what I mean? It definitely caught me off guard because I think I grew up around. So, like, I think I'm in a position, to be honest with you, where the world is changing to a point where I know my whole world is gone. My whole world is gone. You understand what I'm saying? Like, friends, family, cousins, uncles, you know what I mean? If I stand to have any chance at having any kind of clean slate based on the way the landscape is changing, I'll never be able to interact with people where I came from ever again. It's just a reality that's just how different the mentality is.
That's Philly, though. We joke about that, but that shit is real. Me and you and Reggie always go, yo, Philly is rape. I don't want to say all of Philly, but we grew up during rape culture. Like, if you want to say that. We grew up when it was like, it was cool to try to run a train. It was cool to do all these things.
We discredit it the same way our parents used to discredit cigarette smoke not being healthy for children. You know what I mean? I grew up sitting in the bench seat with two people chain smoking around, and they saw nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So, and I understand that, you know, for that mind state to leave, everyone has to go. Everyone has to go because everyone's kind of infected with that thinking. You know what I mean? And it is. It's fascinating because I hear it all. I hear it. I'm definitely empathetic to it. But even the second one, I'm guilty of by discrediting things because it's like, okay, well, you know, I get it. That's a heavy bag to carry, but I know a girl that's been carrying that bag since she was 13. So what we talking about? You know what I mean? And like, that's more where my mentality is, where I'm not as sensitive as I probably should be. I mean, this girl ran down 26 different examples and they all got thousands and thousands of retweets. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm looking at the shit like, really? What the fuck? Like, so you understand how fucked up my mind is. And I'm a fraction as bad as the motherfuckers that I came from. I'm the best. I'm the best, nigga. Like, you know what I mean?
So let me ask y'all this, and I want each of y'all guys on here to answer. Who taught you how to interact with women?
I would say
other aggressive alpha-like versions.
I would say for me, it was a mixture. The most influential people to teach me how to interact with women were women. The guys I grew up around, like I said, we grew up in a culture where it was like you had to be aggressive and stuff like that. But then once I started hanging out with girls and chicks, I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. That's not a tactic that you really have to use. That's just something that they're comfortable with doing. You know what I mean? So I would say it was a mixture for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some older guys, but it was never in a comforting way, or never in a way of like, let me explain something to you. It was more so mocking you.
Yeah.
You 13. Well, you ain't out here with none of these little girls here. What's the matter with you?
You ain't
you
getting
gay?
some pussy.
Shit.
Yeah.
When I was your age, you know what I would have took one of these girls.
I would say I
back
got that
alley.
from women too.
Right.
But
So
not as much. Yeah.
That's where that programming came from, and there was no one to ever check it. There was no one, and I'm not giving it an excuse, because I got older and I figured out that it wasn't right. You know what I mean? And I was able to figure out. But I think I knew right from wrong at that age. There's a lot of shit that I didn't engage in, but I also just didn't stop it. You know what I mean? So the reality is, it's like, okay, it's fascinating where my motto lately for a lot of things is not to reprogram the past, but to start programming the future. I always use this example. You guys know the Triborough Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's called?
The JFK Bridge or some shit like that? No.
It's called the Robert F. Kennedy Bridge.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
So it will be known as the Triborough Bridge until everybody who's ever known it as the Triborough Bridge dies.
Yeah.
Even though it's legally changed over and the sign says Robert F. Kennedy Bridge, everyone who's ever existed in New York and known it as the Triborough Bridge would have to die before that name goes away.
Yes.
And it's not a quick thing. It's not like you understand. There's so many people that have that kind of programming in them that I get it. It's uncomfortable. I talked about this on my last episode of Let's Look at It This Way. It's uncomfortable, but discomfort and conversations like this, and this is the progress. This is the work. It's like going to the gym. You tear a muscle apart, you work it out for it to get stronger, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to hurt. It's going to take a lot of pain, a lot of sweat, years to build a muscle the way you want it to be. You know what I mean? And we're getting there. We're definitely getting there. You know what I mean? But
I also think, and I want to hear from Derek and Menuhin. I also think that we're getting there because you, Dave, and everybody here, you have good female friendships. You have female friendships with Amina and myself and other women that doesn't have any underlying sexual tone. We haven't been intimate in the past. There is a mutual level of respect because we work in the same field, and you think that we're funny, which carries a lot of weight to why we're even friends in the first place. But there are a lot of men who don't get to have this sort of intimate yet non-sexual interaction with women to hear
like
us.
They don't choose to do it because it's not that it's not available. It's just that you don't see any value in a friendship and a woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a choice. That's not something they're choosing not to do that. They're choosing,
And our lives, but I think that's also coming from our lifestyles as children. They were different. You know what I mean? So I grew up kind of like out and about, outside, playing sports, athletics, and stuff like that. There were a few girls on that platform when we were smaller, like 12 and under. Then they kind of all faded out. You started to see some more around high school, but the girls' sports and everything was always separate. But you saw those girls, you know, when you played sports and traveled together, and the same thing in college. And I think it just kind of, your world opened up. But I don't think that connection to girls platonically really opened up for me till post-college, maybe.
Menuhin, Derek?
You want to go first, man? Or go ahead.
What was the question again?
Like who taught you how to interact with women or how to treat women?
I would say it's a collection of a lot of different things, because my dad, he taught me how to take care of women, but also in the bullshit that he did, he taught me the things that you shouldn't be doing as far as like all the cheating and shit that he did. So it was like, I was like, and watching my mom deal with that, you know, it's just like, shit, like this cheating is like breaking her. So seeing that caused me to not be that type of guy. So seeing that changed that. But as far as like the good elements of taking care of a woman, my dad did have that, and I do take that. Like that, as far as like making sure everything's paid for, make sure everything is this, like that whole situation. But everything else was like me studying like TV dads, seeing what they were doing. And I never got like talking to some like dudes. Like, I mean, dudes talk, but I just kind of sorted out like, I don't think they would be feeling that if you did that or shit like that. So it was like a combination of just like me just doing my own personal research, and also, and I had a lot of female friends. So it was just like female friends so I had a lot of things to compare it to. So it was just like, when I do see or come in contact with people that are doing bullshit like what they're doing, getting chicks drunk and then trying to take advantage and all that, it's just like, I have my talks with them. And if I hear the shit happen again, if I see you, it's gonna be like, yo, what up? What's up? And I keep it moving. But that's usually, I'd say that's how I got the majority of my knowledge of what that is. And then also I read stuff. So I read things about women, I read articles, and I read about just what's going on. So I mean, I think that's what built me as a man.
Great man, great boy, King of Staten Island.
My mom and my grandmother first, and then as I grew up, because my dad wasn't really around. So my dad got me condoms. He kind of gave me I didn't really have a good birds and bees talk ever with my father. And then I waited so long with my mother because I was embarrassed to talk about sex in front of my mom. So I guess I was cool. Learning how to talk to women was just like, because my mom always just said, be yourself, because, you know, you have an aura about you. You're a prince. And I used to take that shit serious. I was like, well, you don't really have to do too much. So when I talk to girls, hey, how you doing? It was always, hey, how you doing? And I respected them. Always loved them. I was making out with girls in the back of the church when I was 12, consensually. They would take me back there most of the time. It was never, it was always suggestion, never a demand, because I was always gentle with my mom. So why not be gentle with everybody else? On top of that, first girl I fell in love with, the first girl I was in love with, I fucked raw. So I had a whole different, like, I didn't chase it the same. Like Chris Cotton told me about. This is true shit. The first girl I fucked raw, I actually loved. So therefore, pussy wasn't all this big object. It was like a treasure. I was like, yeah. So you got to treat girls good if you want that treasure. And that's just how it kind of went. So my mom and my grandmother also taught me this. True shit. This is true shit. My grandma had that old school feel, but I didn't like it. She used to go, if you really like a girl, stick your finger up in her and it smell like fish a little bit. That's the one you marry. My nana said that shit. So you gotta understand, perspective is a bitch, Chloe, from every angle.
And it smells like fish a little bit.
If it smells like fish a little bit, that's the one you marry.
How does that even make sense?
Because she's busy. She's busy, Monroe. She's useful.
No, I feel like
what the fuck?
What?
Your grandmother grew up in a time when they didn't have feminine care products.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Florida. In the 30s. Yeah. Crazy. The 30s and 40s.
Smell like fish a little bit. And do you believe that?
No, absolutely not. No, yeah. It smells. No, I took my mother's teachings. I didn't take Shirley's too much. I remember all the great things she taught me. My mom was really all about how to be around.
Because that just means your grandma
had some.
But she's
I'm glad Chloe broke it down. Chloe was like, she grew up in a time where there weren't feminine products.
Yeah.
She smelled like fish a little bit. That's the one you married. Wait, what?
That means she's busy.
Amina, where did you? Amina, where did you learn how to get girls?
Oh wow. and that's so funny because I'll never forget my sister dated a woman for 2 years, and as soon as my family got wind that she was dating a woman, everybody was like, we thought Amina was gonna be the one. And so that's funny that you say that.
Damn.
But I'm not interested.
Your twin
my twin sister. Yeah, so my whole family, yeah. But now she's about to get married to her husband, fiance, and
Wow, hold on. How does that make you feel as a twin that like you know somebody that well? Like, did you? Because was it a phase or what? Did you ever talk about what that was?
So me and my sister are very close. So as I was hearing about the relationship, every time I'm talking to her, of course this person is coming up. My spidey sense already go off. I'm like, every time I talk to you, this person is coming up. So I already kind of had a hunch that it could be leading there, but I didn't think that. I didn't really think anything of it. I just didn't. I just had like, if she said that, I already knew I wouldn't be shocked. And so then when she finally told me, I was just like, oh, okay.
But did you accept when she told you? Did you accept it as like this is what my sister's life is going to be now, or were you like, you'll be back?
I knew I knew she was going to be back.
That's what I want to ask.
How did you know? How did you know she was going to be back?
I just knew. First of all, the stuff that she was dealing with in that relationship, she might as well have been dealing with a man. So I just felt like, what was the
what was the difference?
Look, I love Amina's whole aspect is like, not even what you're attracted to. What gives you the least drama, nigga? You choose a relationship for the least drama.
So I was just like, once it didn't sound like it was no benefit in that arena, I was like, well, you might as well come on back to this side and join the struggle.
Yeah, come back home, girl.
I joined the struggle.
You can always come home. You can always come home.
But it's interesting that y'all talk about these experiences because I was a Black female swimmer and I had male swim mates, and even my coach used to come pick me up from my house and take me to practice and take us to the store. We used to go to his house, come back to my house. And so like, even when I talk about those experiences, people be like, oh, your coach never tried anything. Your teammates never tried anything. And it wasn't that culture growing up. Like, it was just very, like, we're down south. It was just very respectful. You had to, It was very hands off, very family oriented. I'm grateful because I hear about other people's experiences, and even thinking about the spaces I was in, you can only imagine that being in another situation, and it could be something completely different. So that's just scary to think about that. And then as I'm having kids, I have to think about that, because before, like, my mentality growing up, it takes a village. He can go with this cousin, he can go with that cousin, he can go with this. But now that I'm a mom and I have my child and I know about this experience and that experience, I can't be that naive. And even now it's getting to the point where children are becoming predators. Like, my son already experienced sexual assault and he'll be 6 next week. So, he was on a school bus and a little girl pulled down her panties and asked him to touch her. And
Jesus Christ.
That's
wow.
That happened to me. I thought that was like
that's how you got in the club.
Yo,
no.
It was like, it's my shot.
That's how you got in the club.
No.
I just had someone tell me that I was molested.
This is why you need conversations like this, because you can't make this the norm. I was outraged. I mean, I didn't want to fight the little girl, but also in my mind, I was like, what is happening to that little girl for her to think that's okay?
Exactly.
And so how did the school handle it? What was the conversation?
It was very lackluster. They were just on some, kids are curious.
Man, something's happening at the house, man.
And so that's why I had to take things into my own hands, and I called Child Protective Services. I went to the precinct. I got the superintendent's office involved because it did not sit well with me. Well, one, I just didn't even have a clue that could be something that could happen on a school bus. So like, I was just like, it was like 2 months in school. Like, this we we in kindergarten. So
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on. It just threw me all the way off.
Yeah.
But so that's why I had to get them involved, because I'm like, you can't have kids in a setting like this at that age for this to be the space that can take place. And so I mean, the school, I don't know. That's why I don't know what the future will hold when it comes to that relationship with the school, because it just wasn't handled to my liking at all. And it was and then when I talked to other parents, it was actually a recurring thing. So then another parent came out and was like, oh, this happened to my first grade child. And
same girl?
No,
Same shit?
good. How it gonna be the same girl and they different age? It's not the same girl.
Right.
It's just these are the spaces. These are the spaces that are being created even in elementary school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. As you're saying that,
Or
I
that.
can only think about when we used to play Catch a Girl, Freak a Girl. And like, I had no idea if there were any kind of ramifications of people being like, yo, there's this game that they're playing at recess. And like, hey.
Yeah.
But we used to just have everybody raise their hand before we went outside who was playing.
Yeah, I know. And so that's why I have to even talk to my son about boundaries. It's overwhelming because I'm like, he's so young, but I have to talk to my son and because my thing is, what if my son would have been the predator in this situation?
Absolutely.
And he's a black boy, and it would have been, I already know, I know for a fact it would have been handled completely different. And so
hell yeah.
That's the frustrating part. But I think a lot of those tough conversations, parents are confused of when to have it and how to have it. Because who would want to do that with a 5-year-old? Like, I have real conversations. My son and I talk about death. We talk about race. I'm like, my son gonna go outside and smoke a cigarette next week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, we
right?
talk about heavy stuff, but
who's he voting for?
I talked to my mom last week.
Right. Yeah. Blood pressure, my guy. So, but I think that's where it starts, and I think we all can relate to the fact that, you know, our parents might have been very vague about some of those things, but I have to break it down with my son. I'm like, ain't no kiki, ain't no I just playing, ain't no my bad, ain't no mistaken. This is a serious issue, and you have to just set boundaries. I think now we have to just go in with a lot of boundaries, even when it comes, because I'm thinking about instances where you talking about a man taking advantage of a woman at the bar, and it's like some women go to the bar to be taken advantage of. And so I think it's the tough reality is, you know, the more and more we talk about it, it's like, why we got to talk about it, but it's necessary, because at the age of 5, my son is experiencing sexual assault on a school bus. That's infuriating.
I just want to point out, that's one of the things they said in this list. You can't deflect to the hoes that go to the bar looking for that action.
Oh, okay.
You can't bring them up.
I think that was S or T.
No, you can't deflect the holes, but deflect to the holes that get
well, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it as in like it's their fault.
I'm just fucking with you. It's just
okay. I'm just like, but there's clearly a psyche that is making this shit okay, and and we have to dismantle that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But you stupid.
what you stupid?
So I was like, no, because I didn't read the thread, so I was like, which alphabet was that? I was on
I'll try to tell you, this shit covers it all. This shit covers it all. And like, if you even ask, they said, if when a woman shares she's been abused, and you ask, well, what was you doing there at that time? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
goodness. Yeah.
They broke it all the way down on shit that you basically like don't do that, because if you're doing that, you fucking up the whole shit. You
well, I was just watching an episode of The Proud Family. Please don't judge me. On
The Proud Family is a great show. Why would they judge you?
Well,
it's a great cartoon.
I mean, when I tell my friends first of all, when I tell my friends that I subscribe to Disney Plus, they be like, "Really?"
I got it. Gargoyles, nigga. Dark Queen Doug.
I'm just saying. That's why I said
those 3 words shouldn't go together: gargoyles, nigga, and Darkwing Duck, and especially not in that order. Gargoyles, nigga.
Gargoyles, nigga.
So,
but I'm
yo, do you
saying,
understand how crazy if you was in a precinct and a nigga started yelling at from the cell? Gargoyles, nigga. Darkwing Duck.
But so that's what I mean by don't judge me, because I'm not saying whether it was, whether y'all thought it was good or bad, but people don't think that that's something I do. But on the episode, Penny and her friends had on outfits, and it was like halter top, a skirt, revealing clothes. And so the message in the show pretty much was saying, women, if you dress this way, this is what's going to happen. And I'm like, even in that show, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And so that lies a problem as well.
Yeah. But it takes years. Like, I always look at it like this. We can only be so mad at the past because to them that was their solution for shit. You know what I mean?
That was their norm.
And then we got to build off of their solution and go, nah, that's kind of wrong. Times haven't changed. It's just you were approaching that shit wrong. Cause like, you know what I mean? Like that thought process, I get it. Don't dress like this and this won't happen, because that applied to race too. It's like, hey, if you don't want to look like a threatening black person, don't dress like one. And you're like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to dress? But now the thing is, stop judging people on their appearances and treat them how you want to be treated. That's what they should be saying, but they don't want to say that because that shit sound gay. So you go, yo, don't do this. So that's how I look at it. It just takes a while for things to change and like shit to update. And Dave was completely right. It was like, people have to die for change.
But also, I just want to point out that you said that sounds gay, and that's also problematic.
Yeah, because I'm reclaiming gay, because gay no longer means homosexual, because I see them as my equal.
Yo,
and I'm saying gay is the same. I'm saying gay the same way I'm saying nigga. I have gay friends that I call gay.
Let's think about this today too.
They call them gay niggas.
I call them
flamboyant gay guys, right? The ones like, you realize the effort that they put in to be flamboyant, and all they're really trying to do is spread joy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and anytime when someone's spreading joy.
I had to take advantage of that. I had to take advantage of that.
Remember we was coming from Atlantic City, and the transgender lady was on the bus going, "This bus is empty."
That was the best ride we ever had from Atlantic City.
Right, exactly.
It made us feel comfortable. Like
That's
I was like,
I realized. Dude, I realized gay people are literally just trying to make people around them feel good with that behavior. It annoyed us for a while because we don't want to feel good.
Yeah.
No, because also a part of it is them trying to, I don't want to generalize, but a part of it is disarmament. So it's like, hey baby, how you doing? You good? Because they want to address you before you soak them in and then criticize them. And so it is a way, it's a way to kind of be like, oh, I'm good. Like, don't worry about me. I'm not a threat. And I think we all do that. Whenever you are a minority, you always go into a situation being like, how can I minimize the risk of me being seen as a threat?
Yep.
Oh my God. Yo, one time, a long time ago, right? I got off of this train on the wrong stop. I was taking a regional rail, and I ended up like in Villanova campus. All right, the only way I can explain this, I'm in Villanova, it's late light, I got on a leather jacket, and I got a gun on my hip. I was scared to death. I felt like a mountain lion. Like if I get found, it's gonna be a misunderstanding. And I'm just trying to find my way back to the train and get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Damn. God damn.
Not a student, you know what I mean? I'm on campus and it's just on some like, oh, I'm in the wrong. I gotta go before I lose my life.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Sheesh.
Well,
that's crazy.
We did a lot of unpacking on this episode, ladies and gentlemen.
We did. I feel like every conversation that I've been having since I feel like Friday have been very, very tough and
well, it looks like you've been crying a lot. I'm sorry.
I have. You can tell.
Your eyes puffy.
He's swollen.
Oh
a little swollen, yeah.
Look like a little Ninja Turtle.
I was gonna put on makeup, but then I was just like, it is what it is. It is.
Wait, what's getting to you besides the whole this injustice that we continue to face? Is it other shit, like personal shit? Are you good?
Yeah, I mean, I think just coming back to the plight of a Black woman. I feel like we carry a lot, and sometimes, often, we roll with the punches. We just roll with the punches, and I feel like being in this space, especially quarantined at home, ain't nowhere to roll to. Ain't nowhere to roll. Ain't not a place to.
Yeah.
Ain't not a place to
You gotta-
keep it moving to. And so
Yeah, you gotta
it's
sit in
just-
it.
Yeah, I'm sitting in it. It's tough. It's tough. It's hard. I know I'm gonna be all right. I declared sobriety over my life, so I feel good about
You
that.
don't no more
decision.
wine before 9?
No. I mean, I'll probably still do my. I'm still gonna do my podcast, but I'm not gonna. No, I'm
I'm
not
talking
doing
about
any
drinking
liquor.
wine.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing no liquor and no weed, no nothing, no substances.
For how
no
long?
nothing. For the rest of my life. I said over my life.
Oh, I didn't know you meant that.
Control.
I'm
Yeah,
proud of you,
I've,
man. Good shit.
I hear you. That's good. I definitely have cut back on weed because it turning into a coping mechanism.
Yep.
And then it would render me like useless. Like after I smoked, I just would be stuck, and the next thing I look up, I realized I was scrolling on my phone for 3 hours.
Yo,
I feel y'all ladies.
And
Well, I
not-
declared just purple weed in my life. I got
Oh my God.
but a part of me, man,
I declared purple weed in my
part
life.
of
But go
me
ahead. I'm
feels
listening.
like this
Go ahead.
shit. I feel like a part of me feels like weed is another tactic that the government is using to like control minorities and other people who are more susceptible to smoke. You know what I mean?
I want
Like
some of that shit. Rose smoking. Hell yeah.
Well, the thing about
you
it,
mean nothing? Just me. But I do feel like you don't. That never just pops up in your mind. You're like, damn, it's super legal and it's becoming legal everywhere. But the main people to do it are young minorities and shit like that.
I feel like legal crimes are committed against our community on a day-to-day basis. I think people need to understand what's in the weed. If it's altering your mindset and your mood and your emotions, then that's something that you do need to look into, because ultimately you're becoming defenseless against your health.
But that's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm kind of talking
to Rose's point. To Rose's point, I think what you're seeing, even though it feels like a drastic change, it's the growth of humanity and accepting it. So you also have to understand 100 years ago, 1920, there was prohibition. Alcohol was illegal. Alcohol was a crime to the point where, bootlegging became the drug empire at the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just anytime you make anything illegal, it just makes it more popular and more dangerous. But like it grows. And the consumption gets to the point where you're like, all right, fuck it, just let them do it. That's what happened with alcohol. That's what's happening with weed. And you'll see it with level 2, level 3 drugs as time goes on.
What the fuck is a level 3 drug?
Heroin.
Yeah, so, all right. Like, yeah, anything. The levels are like when you start to stuff that's really highly addictive and the amount of damage that it can do.
I'm tired. He said heroin.
Which is weird because heroin is illegal. Heroin's highly addictive, but if you need to get off the shit, where do you go? A methadone clinic, which is just heroin light. You know what I mean? It's like we keep you high enough that you don't feel the need to go break into people's shit to get high. You know what I mean? But we don't have a cure for this shit. So here's heroin light. Keep getting high because there's no coming off of that shit.
Die.
I mean, I think in those instances of like hard drugs, and in this country has a terrible a rehabilitation policy. It becomes about money because now you have these clinics that pop up and they get state or federal funding to make sure that they have a certain number of bodies that they provide these, reform treatments to. And it's not really reform. It's just a never-ending cycle where they generate money. So I hear what you're saying, Monroe. I don't think it's specifically about the marijuana and its impact on the Black and brown community. I think it's that they're not providing us with with the resources so that you don't turn to marijuana as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because because you see it too, like just like mental illness in the minority community, but then they're like, well, let's just give them weed or whatever, and it's like, but how does that help the situation?
It does.
It's all
Well,
a
they don't.
patch.
They
It's all a
don't
patch.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they really don't want to help us. If black and brown people in this country were functioning at 100%, it would
We
be
would
a
be
completely
killing it.
completely different world.
Killing.
Yeah,
Different
I believe
world.
that too.
They
Yeah.
But I'm
suppressing
ready
the
to
life.
continue. I'm ready to continue to keep having these tough conversations. And I mean, I think it's a good shift because I think a lot of people avoid it. We all try to hide from it. You know, it makes us feel uncomfortable. You know, when it comes to knowing a friend did wrong, we don't want to call them out. But it's time to change all that.
All right.
Absolutely. I don't feel like these conversations are hard because I'm having them with people I trust. Like I trust y'all, and I don't trust. Like I trust that if I say something, y'all won't beat me down about it. Y'all will go, well, here's why you should change your thinking, or here, you know what I mean. So to me, I don't see these are hard conversations because I don't feel judgment.
And that's all we try to figure out at Unpopular Opinions every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 o'clock. Just because you're a fan doesn't mean you're right. No.
Well, I think they're hard. Sometimes they're hard for me because I don't want to say anything wrong. But I'm working.
No, there's no such thing.
Wrong with your friends,
No, it's we out here, son. It's not with y'all, but I'm just saying in general, you know. It's
like outside the circle.
Well, if you want, there's a book that I would recommend that I'm halfway through right now. It's called The Righteous Mind. The Righteous Mind is an amazing book as far as how good people get divided by religion and politics, and it's very fascinating because you can read this and then watch people argue, especially with everything that's going on right now, the controversial arguments, and you can literally see, oh, that is a standard move that a human being does to protect morals or values that are instilled in them. When certain things are instilled at a, like not a deity level, but like they're put as a supreme thing, people lose their ability to think rationally. And because that's there, they're not exposed to logic, and they can't accept any logic to argue with that. I'm sorry, guys. My barber's here. I gotta take this call. He's out front.
Oh, okay. Do your thing.
All right.
And there's that.
Way to close.
Way to close.
That is.
Well,
This has been the 6 Foot Nothing podcast.
Damn.
There you go.
Yo,
Have a good
love
night.
y'all. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
The 6 Foot Nothing podcast.